of the operations. We dealt with addition and subtraction yesterday. We are now going to be dealing with multiplying and factoring. That's what we call dividing when we're dealing with these kind of things. So we're going to be going through and working on the distributive property first. Guys, this is not new. This is just reminder, and this is putting the concept of distributive property with the concept of the exponent rules together. So let's make sure we remember what the rules are. Here we go. 6y gets multiplied times the 4y squared. Guys, to multiply this, when you multiply something that has this like base of y here, you're just going to go through 6 times 4 is going to be 24. And then what do you do with exponents when you multiply those like bases? Add them. Just add them. Add those exponents. So we're going to be adding these. This is like a 1. So we're going to be adding 1 plus 2, which is going to give us y to the third. Then we are going to distribute that 6y to that 7. Guys, a positive 6 times a negative 7 is going to give us negative 42. And then the y doesn't have anything to combine with, so it just goes on the end as y. Can I combine the 24y to the third and the 42y? No, they're not like terms. I cannot add or subtract when they have different exponents. So that is it. It's already in order from the highest power down to the lowest power, standard form, so we're done. That's it. We haven't done anything new, guys. That's 2 things we already did, just put together. Distributive property and exponent rules. Okay, let's do it again. We're going to take this negative 3d squared and we are going to multiply it across this entire parentheses. Negative 3 times 4 is going to be negative 12. And what power is the d going to be to? Okay, what do we do with exponents when we multiply like bases? Add them. What's 2 plus 2? 4. There you go. Okay, let's do it again on the next one. You've got negative 3 times 6, that's going to be negative 18. It's going to have a d after it. What power is the d going to be to for this one? 3, because you've got a 2 here and you have a 1 here that they don't write. Guys, there's always a 1 there if there's a variable. So that's a total of 3. For the next one, be careful with the signs, guys. A negative times a negative is a positive, and then it'd be 24. You put the d squared because it doesn't have any other variable to go together with. It's already in a highest power down to lowest power, so it's already in standard form, and we are finished. Alright guys, questions, concerns, anything about distributive property before we do some more? Okay, here we go again. Question, sorry. Oh, here we go. So this one has a little bit more to distribute. You got 2 variables to distribute. We're going to multiply across here to 2 different variables. One only has an a, one has a b. You can multiply things with different variables, guys. You just can't add or subtract them. So 4 times 2 would just be 8 out in front. How many a's are there? There's 2 here and there's 1 here. So how many is that all together? 3. 8 to the third. And then the b goes by itself right behind it. You don't have anything to combine it with on that one, so you're done. For the next one, 4 times 5 is going to put us at 20 out in front. Now guys, the a doesn't have anything to go with, so all we do is write the a there. Don't do anything to it. There's no other a to combine it with. But the b's do have something to combine with. If you have a b here and a b here, how many b's is that all together? 2. Perfect. Okay, it's listed from highest power down to lowest power based on the original or the first letter alphabetically. Guys, it's based on the a. This is a to the third, a to the first. That's in the correct order. We can't put them together because they're different. When you add and subtract, you can't put them together if they've got different variables, different exponents. So far, we okay? Okay. Okay. Now the next one's going to combine both skills, guys. It's going to combine the distributing, then it's going to combine the adding, the stuff we did yesterday. Because it has distributive property first, we got to take care of that. You can't do any adding and subtracting until you multiply this across. So you got to take care of both distributive properties first. That's going to be negative 3 times, excuse me, I apologize, negative 3x times x. That's going to make it negative 3x to what power? 2. 2, good. A 1 and a 1 gives you a power of 2 when you add those exponents. Then it's going to be minus, guys, because a negative times a positive is a negative. And 3 times 4 would be 12. And then, guys, since they're different variables, all you do is just put them next to each other in order. X, y. That's it. Now we got to distribute on the other side. So for the next one, 6 times 2 is going to give us 12. And x times x is going to be x to what power? Second, squared, whatever you want to say. Both those are correct. And then 6 times 3 is going to put us at 18. And what do you put behind it? X, y. Exactly. Literally, just put the two variables in alphabetical order right next to each other. That's it. You're done. Now, do you see why we have another step now? What do we have in this problem that we didn't have in the last ones? Like terms. Nicely done. Like terms. So we start with the one with the highest power, here and here. Negative 3x squared and positive 12x squared is going to give you what? 9x squared. Perfect. Then we're going to take and put the other ones together. We're going to take these and put them together because they both have x, y in them. So what is negative 12 plus 18? 6 x, y. Why do I put the plus in front of the 6 instead of a minus? It's a positive. That's why you put the plus in front of it. Nice. Y'all are absorbing this well. That's good. Anybody see anything they need to ask about yet? Concerns, questions, anything? No? Okay. So let's keep going. I think I've got one that's a little bit longer just to make sure you can practice this. Okay. I want you to try to do the multiplication part first. Try multiplying it by yourself. Try just that first step of multiplying it. Because the next stuff we do is the dividing, so I want to make sure we talk about this, give you a chance to practice this. Okay. I'm going to try multiplying it. 3 times 2 would be 6. 8 to the 3 times 8 is 12. 8 to the 2. Plus 30. 8 to the 2. Plus okay, just for the multiplying step. Do you have any questions? Look and see. Yes, sir.
So this coefficient, like, it is like negative 15, is the a is the variable or the square?
Mm-hmm. You're multiplying the 3a times the 15. You start by multiplying the numbers out in front, the 3 and the 15, and the a just goes behind it. Yep. Good question. Keep them coming, guys. You got to keep asking those details. Does anybody see anything just on that multiplying step that they need to ask about? About why the powers are what they are? Anything about it? Look, look, look. Okay, guys. What do I have to do next? Combine like terms. Combine like terms from the highest power down to the lowest power. Here is the highest power. It is a to the third. We got to put those two together. What is 6a to the third plus 12a to the third? 18a to the third. You do not change the exponent when you add and subtract. Then we're going to take and do the next pair that are like terms. The next pair that are going to be like terms are going to be this negative 12a squared and this positive 30a squared. Those two go together. Negative 12 plus 30 would give you what? Is it positive or negative?
Positive.
So plus 18a squared. And then guys, the last one that has just an a doesn't have anything to combine with, so all we do is write it on the end. It goes from the highest power down to the lowest power. We're done. Questions, concerns, anything about it before we move to the dividing? Okay. Good. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be doing is talking about the concept of greatest common factor. We've done this before this year, but we have not done it when we've involved these variables. So we need to talk about how to go through this concept and how to pull these out when you're dealing with this. Then we're actually going to divide them. So, starting off with on these, we're going to be finding the greatest common factor for the polynomials. To do that, the first thing you're going to do is find the greatest common factor for the numbers. Guys, here are the three numbers. You're going to start with the smallest number. Okay? Start with the smallest number. Okay? Does that number, 5, go into 25 and into 45? So that would be part of your GCF, 5. 5 goes into all of them, so that's part of your GCF. That's the biggest number that will go into all of them. But we find that by starting with the smallest of the three numbers in this case. Okay, from there, do they have a common variable? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, they do. It's an x. Okay? Then the next thing you need to do is decide what power to put on there. To decide what power you put on there, you look at the lowest power. Lowest power is what we're looking for. So what is the lowest power that's here out of the 3, the 2, and the 1? That's it, then that is your GCF. 5x to the first, which is written just 5x. Okay. We're going to do it. I put form on here because I want to make sure you absorb this concept because it really matters for the dividing. You have to be able to pull out the GCF to divide. So here we go. For this next one, out of 6, 18, and 21, which is the smallest? 6. Does 6 divide into 18? Does 6 divide into 21? No. So what we're going to do is put 6 over here, and we're going to think about the numbers that go into 6. The numbers are 1 and 6, and 2 and 3. Now we already said 6 doesn't work. The next biggest one is 3. Does 3 divide into 18? Does 3 divide into 21? Yes. So that is going to be your number that goes for your GCF. Then we need to look at variables. Do they have a variable that's in common? Yes. What is it? Y. And what is the lowest power on any of the y's? 2. That's your GCF. Okay, for the next one, guys, 14 is the smallest number out of 14, 32, and 28. You may need calculators for this. Grab them. Start dividing. Does 32 divide by 14? I know it doesn't. Okay, so let's start breaking down 14. The numbers that go into 14 are 1 and 14, and what else goes in there? 2 and 7. Are there any other numbers that go into 14? No. So we already said 14 doesn't work. Does 7 go into 32? No, so that one's out. Does 2 go into 32? Does 2 go into 28? So there's your number that goes for your GCF. Now we're looking for common variables. Do they all share an x? Yes. Do they all share a y? Yes. Okay, let's figure out what powers to put on these. What is the lowest power on all of your x's? 1, and guys, if it's 1, we don't write anything, so it'd just be x. What is the lowest power on all of your y's? 2. There's your GCF. All right, does anybody have any questions so far on finding GCFs? We're good? Okay, here we go. The smallest number out of these three is going to be what? 8. Does 8 go into 16? Does 8 go into 20? No, so we got to break it down. 1 and 8. What else goes into it? 2 and 4. I usually go in order from greatest to least, but it's up to you. It makes it easier because I want to look for the biggest number. So I try to stay in order when I write them out. So 8 won't go into it. Does 4 go into 16? And does it go into 20? So there's your number. Okay, what is the lowest power on the x's? 3. What is the lowest power on the y's? 3. There's your GCF. Okay, now you're going to need to be able to use GCF to do the next 3 problems that we do. Do you have any questions before we move to factoring? Okay, here we go, guys. To factor then. Guys, factor, okay, means to take apart. You need to understand that. Okay, we're going to be taking stuff out of this. We're going to be taking parts out of it. It's basically like the distributive property going backwards. People don't like you to say that, but that's really what the concept is. Okay, we're going to be pulling something out and putting it in front of our parentheses. That's what we're going to be doing. That something that we're going to be taking out is going to be the greatest common factor. We're going to pull out the GCF. That's what it means to factor these polynomials, to take out the GCF. So we have to go through that same process we just went through. We're looking at this 8a to the 5th, the 4a squared, and the 16a to the 4th. The smallest of those numbers is 4. Does 4 divide into 8 and into 16? Yes. So 4 would be our GCF. I'm going to put it underneath here, underneath all of them, because we're going to have to divide by this GCF. Then we're going to look at the variables. Does it have a variable in common? Yes. What is the lowest power on that variable? 2. That is your GCF, 4a squared. I'm going to take and write that 4a squared out in front of my parentheses, because I'm taking it and I'm taking it out of all of them and I'm putting it in front. Okay? I'm basically undoing what I did in the first whatever problems. 5 problems. Okay, when I take this out, I'm dividing. I'm using those exponent rules for division that we did on the last test. Guys, 8 divided by 4 is going to be 2. Then for the exponents, what do you do with exponents when you divide like bases? Subtract. Subtract. So 5 minus 2 is going to be a to the 3rd. For the next one, guys, if you have the exact same thing on the top and the exact same thing on the bottom, they cancel out and it's going to divide out to what? 1. Because 5 divided by 5 is 1. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 4a squared divided by 4a squared is still going to be 1. If it's the same thing on top and bottom, it's 1. Okay, for the last one, when we divide, 16 divided by 4 is going to be 4. And then the power on the a, when we subtract these exponents, is going to be 4 minus 2, which would be a to the 2nd. A to the 2nd. That is considered factored, guys. You've taken out the GCF. You've rewritten it so that you have all the numbers taken out of there, and it's simplified. Anybody have any questions? Okay, let's do it again. Guys, out of these 3 numbers, which is the smallest? 6. Does 6 go into 8? No, so we got to list out the factors of 6. 1 and 6, and what else? 2 and 3. Does 6 work? No, we said that doesn't work. Does 3 work? Does 3 go into 8? Nope. Does 2 go into 8? Does it go into 10? So 2 is going to be your number for the GCF. What is the lowest power on the b that you can divide by? Just 1. So it's just 2b. So 2b is going to go out in front of your parentheses. That is the greatest common factor. What's going to be left over is what you get when you divide this. Guys, 8 divided by 2 is going to be 4. But what happens to the b's in that one? They cancel. Perfect. Minus 6 divided by 2 is going to give us 3. And then the power on the b's, guys, it's a b to the 2nd and a b to the 1st. That's 2 minus 1, which is going to be 1. And we don't write a 1. We just write b. Just write b. The last one, 10 divided by 2 is going to be 5. B to the what? Second power. Good. Good, good, good. Does anybody have any questions before we do this last one that's a little more complicated? Anything before we do this last one? Okay, we'll see how this goes. Okay, here we go. So we're going to divide all these. We're looking for the GCF. 15 is our smallest number. Does 15 go into 25? No, so got to list out the factors of 15. 1 and 15. What else goes into 15? 3 and 5. 15 doesn't work. Does 5 go into 25? Does 5 go into 40? Yep, so 5 would be the number that's out in front. What is the lowest power on the A's? 2. Okay. What is the lowest power on the B's? 3. That's your GCF. That number is going to go in front of your parentheses. Then you're going to simplify each one of those terms and get an answer. 25 divided by 5 is 5. The power on the A is going to be 4 minus 2, which is going to be 2. Ooh, what happens to the B's to the 3's? They actually just cancel each other out. There's no B left in that part of the answer. Plus, for the next one, 15 divided by 5 is going to be 3. In this case, the A's do what? Cancel. Oh, wait. And the B's do what? Cancel. They both cancel out, so that the only thing you have down here is the 3. Then it's going to be minus. Don't lose. Guys, don't mess it up just because you forget the minus instead of the plus. Watch for that. And then 40 divided by 5 is going to be 8. A to the what? 4th. And B to the what? 1st, which is just B. That's correct. And that's it, guys. You have factored that. Y'all absorbed that much better than I was expecting. So we'll see. We'll see how you